Hey, what's going on, everybody? Justin here. I know it's been a little while. As you can see, I damaged my hand and wrist somewhat. Lost a pet, unfortunately. Decided to rescue another one because we decided three animals and a kid is just apparently too empty of a household, so we got to make it four. But anyways, I figured what better time to come back than with my TBR for Nonfiction November. Definitely probably the highlight of the year as far as I'm concerned with book two. And yeah, let's just go ahead and get started. So I got 9 nonfiction books and 1 fiction book. And yeah, let's just go get into it. So first up, we have The Missing Thread, A Women's History of the Ancient World by Daisy Dunn. I read her Shadow of Vesuvius, A Life of Pliny, a couple years ago when that one came out, and I really enjoyed it, about Pliny the Elder. And this one I have already started as well. And it takes place from essentially the Bronze Age down through the Roman period, I believe. And the theme of this book is including, it's not strictly like just a women's history in the sense it only talks about like women's roles and that kind of stuff. But it just makes sure to always highlight just different aspects of culture and society and even politics and stuff that women held in some of these different societies. Like I said, I've read the first couple of chapters dealing kind of Minoa and Mycenaean civilizations and stuff. So I've been really enjoying it so far. And what I like about it is it's not just about the big name figures. We're probably going to hear about Cleopatra at some point. And I'm sure several others like during the Roman period, maybe even a few Greek ones, but it's not always just the big names. There's a lot of, I like how she's including like, just a few named, ancient Near Eastern, Bronze Age like Sumerians and Akkadian like women that we do know of, kind of highlighting them and stuff like that. So I've been thoroughly enjoying it. And like I said, I just wanted like a nice kind of like big ancient history read before the end of the year, and this is going to fit the bill quite nicely, I can already tell. So I read one World War I book last month, and I'm trying to read one for each month of Historathon. For those who don't know what that is, it's a year-long reading challenge, which I am a co-host now, but I'll leave a link to all that stuff down below. And the last quarter of the year is dedicated to the years 1820 to the present time, and one that's usually actually one of my weaker time periods to read about. But one topic I have always read on is World War One for some reason, but I kind of fell by the wayside the past like 2 or 3 years. So I'm trying to read one each month for these 3 months. And last month I read Edward Pace's book World War One, the African Front. I can't remember if it's African Experience or the African Front. So it was all about like all the skirmishing and stuff going on in Africa. This one is A Mad Catastrophe, the outbreak of World War One and the collapse of the Habsburg Empire by Geoffrey Warrow. And this, as you know, as it says in the subtitle, is all about kind of the Austro-Hungarian Empire's perspective of the beginning of the war. I'm not sure if it's going to cover the entire. Well, it does say outbreak and the collapse. For those who don't know, the imperial powers of like the German Empire and the Austro-Hungarians were like a really solid alliance. After Archduke Franz Ferdinand is assassinated, there's kind of the infamous, carte blanche that Germany kind of issues to Austro-Hungarian Empire to kind of do what they want, which kind of starts to really set in motion that sort of doomsday clock thing kind of going on. But as the war drags on, like the Austro-Hungarian Empire really was just, a generation or two behind in the big scheme of things as far as like tactics and strategy and a lot of like more like logistical stuff as well, not just equipment and training and whatnot, but just, how their military is run compared to like how professional like France and Germany had sort of like ramped up to be during the generation or two beforehand. And there's a lot of quotes where, it's a reference that, Austro-Hungary Germany was shackled to a corpse during World War One, and essentially the Austro-Hungarian Empire was just kind of dragging like Germany down like on a lot of fronts, and Germany had to spend a lot of resources trying to keep them propped up and whatnot. And I don't think I've ever read anything specifically on the Habsburg. And it's also interesting in the sense that the Habsburg Empire, is what 6-7 centuries years old, and it's really World War One that's finally kind of the death knell and the literal like last nail in the coffin to kind of end that empire. Lots of different empires obviously ending in World War One. You get the Russian Empire, kind of turning into like their civil war after World War One concludes. The Ottoman Empire is kind of like torn apart and subdivided and everything like that, and Austro-Hungary as well. All right, so another nonfiction event that I am hosting is my science reading challenge that I've been having a lot of fun with. Really been enjoying the Discord with that. And for each of the different months that I've been doing it this year, it's been a different theme. Last month here in October was like physics, astronomy, kind of related stuff. And I figured for the next one I would do chemistry and like more like earth sciences. So I've been trying to read more very short introductions, the Oxford very short introductions, and this one is Earth System Science by Tim Lenton. And I'm not even 100% sure what, I think it's about kind of like the global, like just kind of global systems, like air currents, and I think like, different ocean systems that all like kind of holistically interact with each other. Like I said, I'm not 100% sure, but it's because I don't even really know what it is that I picked it up way back when. But I figured, I'd give it a try. There's a lot of different diagrams and charts and stuff in this one. But like I said, I think it's going to be a lot of kind of climate and geological forces kind of going on and learning about that. And then for another science book, I read one of Carlo Rovelli's books, Anaximander, quite recently. And this one is, There Are Places in the World Where Rules Are Less Important Than Kindness, and Other Thoughts on Physics, Philosophy, and the World. I just really, really enjoyed his writing style, especially being translated out of the Italian. I thought it came across just really beautifully. And because of that, I'm gonna try to like pretty much read all of his works that have been translated so far. And what I like about it is they're kind of like very thought-provoking kind of philosophy of science books, not just like the hardcore nuts and bolts of physics and stuff. Carlo Rovelli is a pretty famous, I think, theoretical physicist, though he works, I think, in France and stuff a lot, but he's done other stuff in the United States as well. But like I said, it's very like kind of philosophical prose. Just really, really enjoy it. And the title of this one kind of just like really, I guess, stuck with me, like for like kind of like my social workers like mindset and stuff, or rules are less important than kindness and everything. So just really interested. So I think it's gonna be a blend of kind of philosophical musings along with like kind of different lessons from physics and stuff. So really excited to get to that one. And I say that about all of them. I feel like my fall reading has like definitely tapered off compared to my summer reading, but we shall try. And I had mentioned my science reading challenge, so this would be like the super chemistry book. I don't have I have all these shelves of environmental, biological, ecology, environmental books and stuff, but my physics and pretty much any other science that's not biology, really like kind of like either biology or biology adjacent, I just don't have any. I think this is the only literal chemistry book that I have, which is actually pretty famous from what I understand. Sam Keen's The Disappearing Spoon and Other True Tales of Madness, Love, and the History of the World from the Periodic Table of Elements. Figure, you can't get more chemistry than that. It's quite highly regarded. And also apparently when I was just like perusing through some of my audiobooks and stuff, I have an audiobook from like forever ago that I got like not 10 years ago. I think like 6 or 7 years ago, also by Sam Keen. That was a Caesar's Last Breath, which is all about the different molecules that compose that are in our atmosphere. So I figured I'd either read that one or listen to that one to get my kind of chemistry fix and actually participate in my own reading event. Next up, we have an actual philosophy book, and it's The Deepest Human Life, An Introduction to Philosophy for Everyone, and this is by Scott Samuelson. And I've just been, I don't know, I just have like a thing for like this really niche category of, like beginner's first philosophy book, or just an introduction to philosophy and that kind of thing. I saw this in a used bookstore over the summer. I figured, I've never heard of it, never heard of the author or anything like that, but I figured, why not give it a shot? I have read the first, I think, 2 chapters, and I just really enjoyed it in the foreword. And it's really interesting. I like his writing style so far. And Scott Samuelson, what I think is cool is he's a physics professor, but he teaches at a community college, and he brought up, how a lot of his friends and colleagues and stuff, told him, what are you doing wasting your time teaching, philosophy 101 and stuff like that to, community college students. That's a waste of like your skills and that kind of thing. But he decided to stick around just because he actually like thoroughly like enjoys it. He loves like working with the kind of the community college experience with different like a lot of non-traditional students and their perspectives, and people going into like the trades and things like that. And I don't know, I just found it really down to earth. Just really, really, I don't know if it's because I live in a super rural community and stuff like that. Just really, I've kind of like clicked with it. And I'm just excited to kind of finish up reading this one for sure. All right, so for the fiction book, I've been trying to read some classic works of fiction. I think I did a video on like the 5 that I wanted to get to, and I only have 2 left. So if I read 1 this month and run 1 in December, I'll actually hit my goal of reading those 5 kind of classic works of fiction. And this one is Émile Zola's The Fortune of the Rougons. It's translated by Brian Nelson, and Oxford World Classics has this entire series now, which I guess I plan on collecting at some point. It's 20 books long. The most famous one is probably Germinal, which I think is book 13 or 14. And I did read that one way back in college, and I actually really, really enjoyed it. I just like Zola's writing style, or at least I did back then. I'm hoping I still do. But it's in this kind of, I think it's called like the French naturalism, where it's very empirical. It's like very earthy. I don't know if that makes makes a lot of sense and that kind of thing. But this whole cycle is kind of they're all loosely connected based on like a couple of generations of this extended family of the Macarts and the Rougons. And it's all about life under the Second French Empire under Napoleon III. So that would have been like roughly 1850 to like 1870 or so. And just different kind of aspects of, just changing society, changing culture and everything during the 19th century in France, both in the city and in the rural countryside. So just really interesting to see how it all starts, and I'm hoping I really enjoy it, so I actually have like a cool like fiction book series to get into. Next up is one book that I started in, started in October, but just haven't finished yet because it's actually pretty monstrous. It doesn't look like super big, but it's like, I think 700 pages of text here. Oh yeah, geez, we're in like the 750s before the footnotes and everything like that. But it's Revolutionary Spring, Europe Aflame and the Fight for a New World, 1848 to 1849 by Christopher Clark. And I've been reading this as part of a buddy read with a couple of different people over on the Historathon Discord. So definitely check out, if you want to do buddy reads regarding history books, definitely check out that Discord. You will definitely find someone willing to read like pretty much any historical topic with you. I'll leave a couple links to their channels down below, most notably Brian and John. They have, Brian is just starting up again, so that's actually really cool, and John's got an excellent like kind of academic nonfiction channel of his own. And this is all about tons of different countries during the years 1848 and 1849, where Europe really was aflame, I would say. I mean, geez, you have, let's see, France, Italy, Portugal, Poland, I think Denmark, tons of different countries, or just like Germany, just rising up in tons of different ways. The author does a really great job kind of having both the big picture as well as zooming in onto like little different vignettes, kind of going throughout the different times and everything. But it is quite dense. There is a lot. I don't recognize a lot of the names, which is actually probably a good thing. It's kind of nice to like, read something that's almost, I wouldn't say like absolutely brand new, but I'm not sure I would recommend this one to someone like that has like never read any kind of 19th century European history, because I even feel a little bit out of my element, just because I don't read a lot of 19th century stuff until this year apparently, which is partly why I picked it up, just to kind of fill in some gaps and everything. But it's just really cool just seeing how all kinds of different political groups like kind of tackled a lot of these political problems in different ways, some through like insurgencies, some through kind of more co-opting like the actual existing structure, trying to make constitutions, trying to do different things. I just find it interesting too, like how different coalitions are formed. Politics makes, odd bedfellows and stuff like that. But whatever gets the job done, and how some of them failed and some of them succeeded. So just really, really interesting. And then lastly is a book I picked up during Princeton University's Press's fall sale. I was able to get 2 more of these books to add to my collection on the natural lives of. This one is The Lives of Moths, A Natural History of Our Planet's Moth Life. This one is by Andrei Surikov and Rachel Warren Chad. These are just fantastic books. Lots of different like scientific information. Like every 2-page spread has like lots of photographs, lots of illustrations or diagrams or anatomical charts or anything. And then at the end of each chapter, there are always like species profiles from around the world and stuff. Just really, really lovely stuff. I've read the beetle one, started the octopus one, started the lichen one, and then I bought this moth one, as well as fungi. Yeah, fungi, I believe. So it's going to be just really cool. I thoroughly enjoy it. And if you like biology, you like, you know, flora and fauna and that kind of stuff, you really can't go wrong. And I think you will have a good time just like kind of perusing them and reading them straight through. And they do a good job. Not like there is a lot of technical terms, but they break it down real easy for you, so you don't get intimidated and everything like that. But there you have it. Those are books I'm going to try to read in November. Participate in Nonfiction November. Let me know if that's a reading event you're excited about, and if you are, what book you're most excited about finishing during the month of November. Glad to be back. I got a whole bunch of videos coming out. If there's any nonfiction topics that you'd like me to cover, for either like recommendations or kind of anything like that, let me know in the sciences or history, anything like that, and I'll see what I can cobble together. And no matter whatever you decide to read, whether it's nonfiction or not, always remember, read victoriously.